Welcome to Neurotypicals Don't Juggle Chainsaws, the podcast that cuts through the rubbish to explore the world of neurodiversity. I'm your host, Nick King.
And I'm your host, Kate Fox, and together we're here to explore, understand, and celebrate being neurodivergent in a neurotypical world. From ADHD and autism to dyslexia and other quirky brains, we talk about it all.
And go off on tangents. So, whether you're neurodivergent, love someone who is, or you're just curious about neurodivergent minds, you are in the right place.
Let's get ready to juggle some words and maybe even a few chainsaws, metaphorically, of course.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Neurotypicals Don't Juggle Chainsaws, and we are back with guests, myself, Kate Fox, and Anna Knight. Would you like to introduce yourself, Anna?
I would love to. My name is Anna. I am a former speech therapist turned into a coach for people who are trying to change this world on fire in some way.
Oh, flipping heck. To change this world on fire. That sounds like an exciting coach, not a I'm going to coach you so that you can get better at doing your paperwork and hitting your top 10 productivity goals.
Oh, productivity goals. No, thank you. And I'm definitely not one of those coaches that offers 12 weeks to transformation, a brand new you, because I'm of the opinion that most, in fact, all of the people I work with, pretty flipping fabulous already. So I'm never going to tell them they need to turn into someone else because I already quite like them when I start working with them.
Yay. I'm guessing these are neurodivergent humans, the best type of humans.
Most, but not all, I'd say. I
Anna's
have a
inclusive.
higher, yeah, a higher proportion of neurodivergent people that I work with, partly I think because we all see really clearly what is wrong with the world and have that fire to change it. There is the odd neurotypical sneaks in every now and again, and I allow it just for flavor.
It's good to have a mix.
Yeah.
Lively.
Yes, I think a lot of the people that come to me don't necessarily know that they're neurodiverse or neurodivergent by the time they start, but they've cottoned on by the time we finished working together.
Yes. If they chose a coach who's wearing run and fly dungarees and have pink hair, surely the universal language of yay, you're neurodivergent. Yeah.
Uh, it does sometimes also say, "Hey, I'm gay," so you know.
Of course. Yes. Yes, the other best type of human. Yeah. Intersections are available. Oh, we didn't ask your pronouns, Anna.
My pronouns are she, they.
Okay.
Fabulous. Okay, in that very sort of us kind of way, we kind of agreed a topic before we started, and Anna suggested resilience, and I'm all for talking about resilience because I have quite a bee in my bonnet about it on a quite regular basis. I think because there are a lot of narratives about, particularly the neurodivergent people, needing to be resilient, but then I often wonder how it's being used. Because to me,
Mm.
resilience should be something that you have for, I don't know, I don't want to say special occasions, but like crises. When things go really, really bad every now and again, resilience is a good thing to be able to have. However, if you're expecting to be resilient every day, you're just going to be a bit knackered.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think even going before that, Nick, people don't actually understand what resilience means. Like one of my clients hates the word, will not let me use it. She's like, don't start on resilience again, Anna. But it's because she's been sold this like throw pillow. It's weathering the storms that life throws at you, like meaningless nothing definition. So she doesn't even know what it means to know what she hates. To me, there's so much murk about resilience. The way that I interpret it is that it's a portfolio of skills that let us handle when times are hard. It's as simple as that. But like you say, if times are always hard, A, we'll end up exhausted, but B, we need to look at the system and go, I think something's broken here if life is always a crisis.
Yes. And I think that's quite a lot of my issue with resilience because it is very much fundamentally within the school system at the minute. Even,
Hmm.
a few weeks back, Bridget Phillipson was like, the children need more grit, which is exactly the same thing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, but do they?
Yeah,
But
no.
do they? Or could we talk about the fact of why they need more grit? And can we look at why they need more grit? Because we're putting them in situations where they perpetually need
Mm.
grit and or resilience.
Yeah,
It's very much a buzzword in the education system at the minute, and it
yeah.
it bugs me a lot.
And to me, grit is something completely different. Grit is inflexible. Grit is just holding on by the skin of your teeth. It is perseverance. It's forced compliance for a lot of the kids who are in the education system at the moment. When you look at the skills that actually form true resilience, when you look at the research about it, it's things like hope. Hope is an important part of resilience, but is not encompassed in grit at all. Being able to regulate is and healthily regulate, safely regulate is part of resilience, not part of grit at all. You can have grit and be completely dysregulated, but to be resilient, you need to have the skills to self-regulate and co-regulate to be able to communicate, I'm not okay, and not have people try and go, oh, well, just deal with that. For them to come to you in community and go, okay, what do you need? How can we nurture you? That's resilience, but that's not grit at all.
I'm getting a warm feeling when I'm hearing this version of resilience that you've just said, because it's got concepts like care in it
Mm.
and community in it, which now I know both of you have grappled with being in dealt with school systems, and I haven't, except when I was at school many years ago. But it feels to me like if anywhere should be able to have the concept of care and community, it should flipping well be a school, shouldn't it?
You'd think so, yes.
Possibly not so much in 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm not a speech therapist anymore. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do your it when a coaching client comes to you, Anna, and they are maybe they're in a state of burnout, they're wanting to change the world, but actually they're also burnt out. How do you go about addressing then or building up, is this the right way to put it,
Mhm.
their resilience?
So a lot of the people who come to me are multiply traumatized. They've experienced a lot of experiences that have told them that the world, the people in it, or even themselves sometimes are not safe. And they want to fix it. They want to make things better, maybe for future generations, maybe for other people in their worlds, maybe just out of a lovely burning sense of justice. But they're stuck within a system that demands burnout, that demands self-sacrifice. So for me, the thing that we actually start with is radical self-acceptance, radical self-love. That's where I start with everyone. Because we've been sold this really, really bad maths about our value. We've been told, oh, hey, here's your good bits. And they're generally performative. They're like, I was kind to my neighbor. I did a good thing for my kid. I was nice to my partner. And then here's all my bad bits. And that's generally when our trauma kicks in. That's when all the character traits kick in. So I'm lazy, I'm disorganized, I'm untidy, I'm snappy when I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. That becomes the minuses. So you've got a handful of pluses, a truckload of minuses, and you end up in value debt. You end up thinking, I am not good enough. I am not lovable enough. I don't deserve care. I don't deserve help. I don't deserve rest. And to me, that is the biggest lie we're ever told is that we have to calculate our value in order to deserve things. the way that I encourage my clients to look at things is that all of these things are pieces of pie on a pie chart, if you will, that our value is always 100%. And you can add in the good qualities about yourself. You can add in your humor, your talents, your interests, your accomplishments, all those good things. And you add in all the things you've been told are flaws over the time. But it all just is a little piece of the pie. That does a couple of things to me. It helps you see that your value is always complete. You're always one whole circle. But also those things that you see about yourselves that sometimes can be the eclipsing bad thing. So when I started getting coached myself, it was I'd just come out of an abusive relationship. To me, I was domestic abuse survivor. That was how I saw myself completely. And that brought with it all the social stigma and all the personal failings and all the things I'd been told about myself in that relationship. Now that's just a tiny weeny piece of my pie. It's balanced by my love of dungarees and Star Wars, and that I have a house full of too much clutter and cat lover, and it all those things. It's equal to that. It's not eclipsing. It's not the one terrible thing about me. It's just a bit. Sometimes it's more visible than others, but it's not this flaw. If you can master that, if you can see yourself as a multifaceted person, the rest of it becomes easier because you can then put in self-care plans without having to grapple of do I deserve to do self-care? You can ask for help without having to grapple about do I deserve help? You still might need to learn how to ask for help. I did a session with someone on that yesterday where we worked out how you actually ask for help because they'd reached the age of 50 something without knowing that that was allowed for them. But it all starts rooted in this self-love that you are amazing exactly as you are.
It just had a
Oh,
Bridget Jones moment there. Sorry, I remember a totally inappropriate uh, model, the Bridget Jones heavily neoliberal capitalist model. But nonetheless, when Colin Firth, Mr. Darcy says, I love you just the way you are, and that was really revolutionary for people, and yet really, really hard
Mm,
for many of us to get our heads round. So I absolutely love that as a metaphor, the pie of value.
mm.
Call it the pie of value. Probably.
One of my clients once coined the phrase for it, and apologies for swearing, I'm a motherfucking pie chart of awesomeness.
ah,
That is generally how I introduce it to clients.
I love it.
That's better. That's strong. Loving that. Yes, very much. Gosh, this is connecting to me a lot with. So I've just written a Substack newsletter about confident vulnerability, which was something that was in Robin Ince's neurodiversity book, and struck me at just the right moment, really, because I'd been struggling more than I realised with my own internalized ableism. And I feel like there's a definite crossover in what you're talking about, a really confident vulnerability. You have this phrase, I think, for your coaching business, the audacious and. Could you
Mhm.
say something about that?
Yes, it is. It's one of the techniques that I talk about most because it's the easiest, it's the linchpin of everything I do really, is that for whatever negative thought you have about yourself, whatever way you're beating yourself up, however badly your day's gone, if you keep adding ands to it, you will talk yourself round to a place where the world seems more balanced. So I have a really great example of this. About a year ago, I was in a mountain warehouse trying to buy myself a new raincoat. And as a plus size person with a habit for dopamine dressing, I wanted something jazzy. And the only thing in my size was one black, sad looking anorak. And because of social conditioning and my trauma, the immediate thing that my brain made it mean is I'm too fat to have a coat. That's the conditioned thought. That's what came in. And I got really upset. Like, to be resilient is not to not have these emotions. I had a little meltdown in Mountain Warehouse. And as I walked out into the car park, I saw a car that had the number plate and I went, oh, universe, flipping really? And I was like, okay, I am too fat to buy a coat from Mountain Warehouse, and I'm buying a coat because I want to go walking. And I really enjoy going on walks with my partner. And I'm allowed to have a nice coat. And I bet there's coats out there somewhere that I can find. They're just not in Mountain Warehouse. And my partner's really good at research skills. I can ask him to find me a coat. And when I find a coat that I love, I'll feel really good every time I put it on. And that means that then when I go walking, I'll actually feel really good about myself. And that means I'm more likely to go on walks. None of my ands were about actually losing weight because to me, that's not the goal. Like, my body is my body, it looks how it looks, it functions how it functions, hypermobility and all. I just wanted to be able to get out into the world and be dry.
Which isn't a big ask.
You'd think.
Love what you're hearing, want to interact with us, want to show your support, you can do all of that via our website, Neurotypicals Don't Juggle Chainsaws, where you can leave us a comment, you can send us an email, or you can leave a little tip via our PayPal link. And we appreciate all your interaction, support, and love.
But the power of and is that none of that required me to change myself. None of it was, and in 6 months' time, when I've lost X amount of stones, then I can have a coat. It was all factual. It started quite balanced, but it took me from crying in the car park at Gretna Green Outlet Mall to going, oh, actually, stuff you. I'm going to get the best coat ever and I'm going to go to all these places even when it's raining. It's such a simple concept. It's such an easy one to have in your pocket. But the reason I call it audacious is because so often we're taught that these things about ourselves are irrevocable sins, like being neurodivergent, irrevocable sin, being fat, irrevocable sin, being bolshy, irrevocable sin. Actually, they're just things. And it's really audacious to treat them lightly, to treat them as if, okay, yeah, and what next? And that to me is, if people take one thing away from listening to me, it's that you can just stick some ands on the end. So you can be a good mum and have shouted at your kids this morning. You can be a good change maker and wonder why the hell you're getting up this morning. You can be neurodivergent and a flipping marvel. Like, these things can be contradictory and both true at the same time.
This is beautiful wisdom. A bit of me. Do you know what I want to do? I want to slightly challenge my co-host at this juncture,
Is
Nick.
that because I've shouted at my children and what was the other thing? Not want to get out of bed this morning. Both of those things happen.
A double whammy. Oh no. But, well, it's you. So I think you are a model of radical self-acceptance. The Neurobears course dramatically changes and transforms the lives of the young people and those associated with them. But I'm not sure that you are fully there, as I am not either, on the, what was it? The motherfucking pie of awesomeness. Because I think sometimes both of us struggle a little bit with our more vulnerable parts. Just saying. Could you add
Totally agree.
anything? Mm.
I think, oh, I don't know. So I'm on board with I'm awesome in a sort of quite British way. Do you know what I mean? I'm not American. Like, I'm on board with I'm awesome, reluctantly in a very sort of stiff upper lip kind of way. Uh, and I'm quite self-forgiving. So if I do shout at my children, I will just apologize and, you know, we move on. And and exactly and then it's over. Um I do normally want to get out of bed in the morning, but we can do both. But I think sometimes it's when I still struggle a bit with the observation of me. So, like, if people have caught me in a bad mood and then pointed it out, I'm still more sort of like, oh no, rather than and.
Mm.
But not particularly within my own household. Like, if I've been in a bad mood and, like, husband, children have got slightly the brunt end of it, I am just sort of like, sorry, and let's move on. But outside of that, I think there's still a little bit of, oh my God, no. But it comes back to that feeling vulnerable thing that I really don't like.
Mm.
It feels sticky.
Yeah. And what I often find with my clients is that we all have our own individual sticky parts. So I know that when I am in a bad mood, hormonal, tired, I can have a really sharp tongue. Like, I think it's sometimes part of being a coach is I spend so much time poking around in people's brains that I'm quite good at knowing the thing that will get to a person most. It's not a part of myself I like. It's a part that still now is quite difficult to admit to, but I don't enjoy being perceived about it. And part of my journey has been recognizing, yeah, okay, that's in me. My discomfort with being perceived in those moments is that I'm crossing some kind of line for either society or myself. If it's myself, it means I've crossed a value and then I repair it. I do something about it. If it's society, well, do I actually want that line there? Do I believe in that line? Like, is that perception that as people raised as female, perceived as female, we have to be kind and loving and nurturing all the time. Is that actually fair, true, valid, something I want to hold to? Actually, no. I'd rather be a little ratty arsehole going, no, that's not okay. I really upset someone yesterday actually on social media because they put up a picture of a plus size person and someone who was very underweight. And they were like, look at these two women, you can see their struggles. And I was like, I'm sorry, are we implying that this lady is struggling because she's fat? And they were very offended by that, very upset that I'd called them out. And I went into oh, was I mean? Was I too sharp? Because it did piss me off. Like, full disclosure, I was angry about it. And I had to go, no, actually, why? She wants me to be silent for her comfort, but I said it in a perfectly polite way, but also kind of challenging the message she was putting out there on her social media as a marketing expert. Um, that that in itself, she was going, oh, we can't assume what's going on underneath the surface. Okay, but the optics, not great.
So that was a great example of that was, yeah, that wasn't you crossing a personal value.
Mm,
This was you kind of speaking up in service of something, and you might have, so you were still questioning and going, oh,
mm,
am I being mean? Am I being too sharp? Because that is an ongoing sticky point for you because of the social conditioning, but you were
yeah,
able to say, actually, no, this was justified. Whereas maybe if your partner had, for example, accidentally got custard on what I'm hoping is your amazingly new shiny walking coat, and you had gone, oh, how clumsy you are. This is probably not an accurate picture, sorry, of your domestic life, and I have no idea where custard came from. Anyway, then maybe you would feel justified that you were overly sharp in that situation, because ideally you would be kind about someone's custard clumsiness.
exactly. Yes, and in that situation, if there was a custard mishap in my house, which is more common than you'd think, normally it's me spilling the custard, however. But yeah, if I had been unkind to my partner, out of dysregulation, out of frustration, out of whatever, I repair it. And generally, the conversation goes that I apologize. He says that's all right. And I say, actually, it's not all right. I don't want to be the person who speaks to you like that. So I appreciate your forgiveness, but I'm going to commit to trying harder to holding my tongue while I'm dysregulated. And then he goes, generally, oh, I didn't realize you were dysregulated. And we go off and have a little co-regulate because we have that community, that commitment to honesty to each other that is intrinsic to true resilience, not this fakey tolerance that we're teaching kids at school is resilience.
I think it's like neurodivergent people. Like, I think we think about this stuff more than other people. Do you know
Hmm.
what I mean? If I've upset somebody, I think I genuinely think about it a lot more than the average person. I see average people going around upsetting people all the time.
Hmm.
Like, and I couldn't cope with that level of stress. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. But then I think, we're observed a lot more. I feel like we're held to a higher standard
Mm.
because we're perceived differently.
Yeah. I think it's that thing of whether you're conscious of it or it's an unconscious thing, neurodivergent people are so values led that when we cross our own values,
Mm.
it it's an emotional, a physical response because we're going, oh no, that red hot shame is making us feel dysregulated in that moment. We can't ignore it. Where apparently a feature of neurotypicalism is that they can just wander around blithely ignoring their values and thinking everything's fine.
And I really can't.
So our potential, sorry to be suddenly a bit neurodivergent supremacist about things, but actually in a positive and balanced way. But like potentially we have great opportunities for what's probably quite hard won, um, kind of positive living, co-regulation, good relationships, and a life built around our core values because they are so viscerally important and evident to us, and we may have had to do quite a lot of conscious learning in how to communicate about them, basically.
Hmm, I believe so. There's a really interesting study that came out. Well, I say came out. It hit TikTok last week, and I then went and read the study from the TikTok. Um, because one of the DSM core features of autism is difficulties in social communication. It's like when I'd worked autism diagnostics for 5 years, and I was always out there assessing people's ability to communicate socially. And what was really interesting to me, not knowing I was autistic at the time, is that I often rated people's communication as a lot better than my colleagues. And this study says that neurotypical to neurotypical communication, very effective. What they found, which wasn't actually much of a surprise to me, but it's nice to have it proved with numbers, is that autistic to autistic communication is equally as effective. The issues in social communication that's coded in the DSM-5 are actually when you cross those groups. And so when you look at friendship groups within neurodivergent communities, relationships, families, there is the potential for beautiful, effective social communication. It just looks different. Some people might look at me and my partner and how bluntly honest we are with each other and go, wow, I wouldn't say that to your partner. But equally, how refreshing is it to be able to go, your face is doing a thing and I don't know what that means. Can you tell me? And for them to go, generally, oh, I was thinking about cameras. Like, it takes away all the, oh my God, I think I've upset Mel. What have I done? Do I need to fix it? Everything's gone terribly. Because I can just ask. Like that kind of liberation, I think, comes much more often in neurodivergent relationships, neurodivergent communities, because we've had to become more conscious of this, because we've been told we've been doing it wrong our whole lives. So once we've stepped outside the, oh my God, I'm going to conform to what I've been told I should be. We find our own paths that work for us. And generally, they're a lot more radical. Like, I spend a lot of time reading books by radical progressive thinkers. And whether they're diagnosed or not, often as I'm reading them, I'm going, well, this is spicy. I can feel your autism coming through here, whether you know it or not. I'm reading a brilliant book by Rutger Bremen at the moment, and as I've been reading it, every page I've been going, oh, interesting. I see what you mean here, but I also see my neurotypical friends on Facebook debating your points very heavily. Interesting how I vibe with you here, sir.
See also Sarah Ahmed,
Yes.
totally. Hello, and actually so many other thinkers. Anna, what we normally do to finish the podcast is have an inspiring Kevin MacLeod at the end of Grand Designs type speech. And what you have just done, although I've kind of cut in over the end of it because I suppose we need mine and Nick's voices at the end, you've just done that speech and wrapped up beautifully your philosophy and being of radical self-acceptance. Thank you for your motherfucking awesomeness.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Neurotypicals Don't Juggle Chainsaws. We're so glad you joined us today to explore the fascinating world of neurodivergence with your hosts, me, Nick King.
And me, Kate Fox. If our conversation sparked a thought, a question, or even a smile, don't keep it to yourself. Drop us a line at hello@neurotypicalsdon'tjugglechainsaws.co.uk or visit our website, neurotypicalsdon'tjugglechainsaws.co.uk, to write in. We'd love to hear from you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, consider leaving us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform.
Until next time, keep embracing the unique ways you juggle the chainsaws of life.